Vamos a analizar estas cuestiones durante los próximos minutos de la mano de Daniel Rubenstein, Middle East analyst. Hi, Daniel, thanks for being with us. Negocios TV, it's a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Daniel, we are talking about Trump and Netanyahu. What do you expect about this meeting?
Right now, at this moment, as I am speaking to you, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is meeting President Trump at the White House. The outcome of this meeting could determine the future of the Middle East. Nobody knows what the outcome of the meeting is going to be, but what is clear is that the United States and Israel are looking for ways to apply maximum pressure to the Iranian regime. The Iranian regime is the greatest threat to global peace and security. The Iranian regime is continuously calling for the destruction of Israel. It is stockpiling long-range ballistic missiles that can hit not only Israel, but parts of Europe. And it continues to promise to enrich uranium that will give it a nuclear capability. If Iran combines its nuclear capability with its ballistic missiles, we are in for an enormous amount of danger. At the same time, the people of Iran have been protesting their regime in huge numbers. I think it's time for the entire world to send a clear message to the Iranian regime that its time has passed, it's time to move on, and let the Iranian people build a future of peace, not a future of war, which is what the Iranian regime has brought to the Middle East.
Daniel, Netanyahu and Trump are talking about the ballistic missile program by Iran, not only about the nuclear capacity. What do you expect about this? Do you think Iran could negotiate this matter?
Iranian officials have said that they're not willing to negotiate this issue at all, and for Israel it is a red line. If the Iranian regime stockpiles enough missiles that it can fire at Israel and overwhelm Israel's missile defense, this is almost the equivalent of being on the receiving end of a nuclear blast. These conventional bombs can cause enormous destruction, and Iran is saying it's going to destroy Israel, and Israel does not want to be destroyed. So Iran needs to get the message, not just from Israel, not just from the United States, but also from the European Union, the United Nations, that its expansionist, fascist, militaristic, theocratic regime needs to back down for the sake of global peace and security.
Waiting for this meeting, we know that Trump has threatened about a second aircraft. They are talking about the US George Bush. Do you think he can do something similar to Venezuela?
I think President Trump wants his military to tell him that all options are on the table. In recent weeks, the American military has sent an enormous force to the Middle East, including the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, and President Trump has announced that he's going to send a second armada within striking distance of Iran. Nobody knows what President Trump is going to do, if he wants to send overwhelming force, if he wants to carry out a pinpoint strike. I think what needs to be clear and what President Trump is trying to broadcast to the Iranian regime is that its current position is unacceptable. Its crackdown on the Iranian people themselves who seek a better life is unacceptable. Its pursuit of nuclear weapons is unacceptable. And its stockpiling of ballistic missiles that can reach Europe is unacceptable. So President Trump is keeping his options open, and it remains to be seen what he will decide, but I am sure that is what he and the Prime Minister of Israel are discussing quietly in the White House right now.
Daniel, another question, another doubt is about the blockade of Iran, talking about something similar to Venezuela. Do you think that the United States could impose a total blockade on Iran, something similar to Venezuela?
I think if the United States imposes a naval blockade on Iran, then Iran will be in a position to respond with its ballistic missiles on a number of targets in the Middle East, including U.S. military bases, including U.S. allies, and including Israel. So everyone in the region, if President Trump decides to take such a step, will need to be prepared for the Iranian response. That is, I'm sure, one of the issues that the Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Trump are speaking about, but I cannot further speculate what President Trump is going to do. I'm sure his military is going to him with a range of options, from pinpoint strikes to naval blockade to the use of overwhelming force. The United States has unbelievable military capabilities. I think President Trump wants to have his options before him and to see what develops.
Daniel, and what are the chances of a regional war? Iran is threatening about a regional war. Do you think this is possible?
Just over 2 years ago, on October the 7th, 2023, an Iranian ally, that is Hamas, started a regional war against Israel, and the Iranian regime celebrated Hamas's attack on October the 7th that saw Hamas gun down hundreds of people at a music festival. The next day, on October 8th, 2023, an Iranian proxy army in Lebanon called Hezbollah opened fire into Israel, and in the subsequent year fired thousands of rockets, anti-tank missiles, and suicide drones into Israel. Another Iranian proxy army in Yemen called the Houthis began firing ballistic missiles at Israel and blockading the Red Sea to international shipping. What we saw was a regional war. It is a regional war that Israel has been fighting since October the 7th and has been fighting effectively against all the Iranian proxies, Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. So the regional war has been going on. I hope Iran gets the message that its regional war has been a disaster for the Iranian regime, for the Iranian people, for all peace-loving people in the region. And if we want to avoid further regional war, we need to call on the entire world, especially the European Union, the United Nations, to tell Iran to end its regional war so that we can all live in peace and build a better future than what we have experienced with this Iranian regime, especially for the past 2 years of its regional war against Israel.
And Daniel, the last question. Do you think Israel could attack Iran on its own?
In June of 2025, Israel demonstrated quite well that it is capable of striking Iran on its own without the support of anyone. Israel can defend itself by itself. Israel had taken steps before June of 2025 to remove Iran's anti-aircraft missiles, its batteries. Israel had full control of Iran's skies for the 12-day war in June of 2025. I do not think that Iran has been able to replenish and upgrade its anti-aircraft capabilities. If Israel seeks to fly over Iranian skies to carry out a military operation again, I believe it will be able to do so. Israel will be watching very closely to see if Iran again decides to enrich uranium to weapons-grade levels, and if Iran decides to stockpile ballistic missiles that can destroy Israeli cities, then Israel will definitely be on guard. That is for sure one of the major topics that Israel and the United States are discussing right now in Washington, D.C., and I am watching the news along with you to find out what will come out of this meeting.
Well, Daniel, waiting for more info about this meeting, Trump and Netanyahu right now in the White House. Thanks for being with us in Negocios TV. It's a pleasure. Have you here. Thank you so much.
For having me.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you so much.